Well, we're in day 2 of 2022. I have to say we're doing pretty good. However, since it's Monday, that means we're only going to have, of course, AEW Dark Elevation. But we're also going to be reviewing ChocoPro 283. This is day 4 out of their 5 shows they had. But first things first, we're going to review some much recent events. I was surprised that it showed up on the watchprowrestling.org website. We're going to review Oz Academy, the Anthem for 2022 that took place back on December 30th. And then the day after that, they had, of course, Ice Ribbon with Ribbon Mania that took place on the 31st of December, which was New Year's Eve. This was the final show of Ice Ribbon for both shows. But Ice Ribbon, this one's a special one. This one is more of their version of course, of WrestleMania that always takes place in Court and Call, and also is the last time we ever get to see Yuki Mashira, who in fact is going to retire. But also, we got some news updates to tell about what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as who's been booked and what promotion they're going to make an appearance, what matches are being booked to see, and the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J. Rod here. So, as we know now, 2022 is closed, but however, we will review some recent events before 2022 came to a close. First one we have, of course, is Joshi Promotion Oz Academy with the Anthem for 2022. This took place recently on December 30th in Corkin Hall. So there's already been 3 title matches that have been announced and 2 special matches. Now let's talk about from point A to point B all the way to the end. Let's get started. Our first match we have is trios action. We got team number 1, Aruka Umasaki, Kaketura Sakiguchi, Tsubasa Karugaki versus Ram Kaicho, Kyoko Inoue, and of course, the legend herself, Aja Kong. Now you can see there's an X factor in this match. Now you can tell that Kyoko Inoue and Aja Kong are 2 of the much bigger competitors and much powerful. That would play out pretty well in this match. Now, however, the one thing that everybody needs to be more careful is Ram Kaicho, who is always throwing the ectoplasma. But luckily, that did not happen. I mean, you have Aruka Masaki, who is primarily from World Woman Pro Wrestling. Diana does a lot of freelancing, but she did pretty good. But however, her tag partners, we have Sekiguchi and Kuragaki. They're pretty good too. But however, it was Inoue who picked up Sekiguchi for a powerbomb that allowed her to pick up the W. Now our next match is for the Oz Academy Pioneer Championship in a 3-way match. I think this is like their versions of a trio, a triangle match. Basically, more we've been seeing with the Triangle Ribbon Championship and Ice Ribbon. I don't know if they took the idea from them. That's something that I still don't know. But let's see who's involved in this match. We have Izuki Aoki, Coyote Yoneyama, and of course the current champion, Momoka Hanazono. She's one of my favorites to watch. I mean, she's an absolute terror. I mean, if you guys ever seen her how she is, she's always happy, always up to no good, always with the bubbles and all this other stuff, she cracks me up every single time, And I want to say I thank Waka for introducing me to her, during New Blood. I think it was 2, I believe. But yeah, but now the X Factor, in these type of matches, Momoka Hanazono doesn't have to be pinned, so that always plays out. But however, you can tell that Yonayama and Aoki are not big fans of Hanazono. You probably can tell that. But how will this play out? Who will be the one to try to pick up the win? Or will be Hanazono who found an advantage? That's always been the real case when it comes to these type of trio matches. But Hanazono was able to prevail when she applied a victory roll onto who was it? Onto Yonayama, and of course, 1, 2, 3, she retained the title. You probably can guess. That's one of the best moments ever. So now our next match, we have tag team action. We have Ozaki-gun members, Sayori Onoi and Mayuhiki taking on Ryu Mizunami and Sonoko Kaito. Now you know the type of tricks Ozaki-gun is. They're like almost like Oedo Tai, but they do things differently without the ref's knowledge. That's always been the case. But however, it was Mayuhiki that somehow was able to pick up a pin onto Ryu Mizunami that allowed for Ozaki-gun to pick up the win, which was very sad, but however, that's how it played out. Now, our next match is a title match. This is for the Oz Academy Tag Team Championships, the challengers. You know them. You've seen them in Sendai Girls. You see them wherever they go. We have Team 200 kilograms, consistent of Yu and Chihiro Hashimoto, taking on Chin Busters, consistent of Rina Yamashita, and of course, the Lady Destroyer, Hiroyo Matsumoto. This match was a hard-hitting match. I mean, you look at Team 200 kilograms, you know they're going to try to pull all their stops in power. But, of course, Chin Buster were going to try to find a way to put them down. They even put you through a table, but it didn't stop her down. She's an all-powerful big lady. That's how I witnessed. But, however, I think it was, of course, Rina Yamashita who took the last ride by you. 1, 2, 3, new tag champions. So, Team 200 kilograms, consistent of you and Hashimoto, new Oz Academy Tag Team Champions. Now, our main event. We have the Oz Academy Openweight Championship. We have the challenger, the leader of Ozaki-gun, Mayumi Ozaki, who also is the promoter of this promotion, taking on Akino, who is, of course, the champion. Now, these two ladies have been back and forth with each other as many times I've ever watched Oz Academy. So, however, will the usual tricks for Ozaki-gun played out? Now, keep in mind, we do have Akino's unit, Mission K7 will be backing her up, knowing that, of course, the other members of Ozaki-gun, Onoi and Yuhiki, were going to be there. So that always is a much better X factor to pay attention. But of course, Ozaki was going to use a chain on Akino. That's no secret either. Did it work? No. But what backfired on Ozaki, she red misted Akino, thinking that would be the final blow. But somehow Akino applied a Hurricanrana onto Ozaki. 1, 2, 3, it was over. I think Ozaki was livid. She couldn't even believe, how could this happen? How can I have been pinned? I had her right where I wanted. Well, you missed her, but it didn't work. So, Akino retained the title. But however, the obvious question does remain, when we see a championship match over, who's next? Well, apparently we have 3 competitors that seem like they want to. Well, first one was, of course, Kakeru Sekiguchi, her teammate, Izuki Aoki, and I was a bit surprised for this one, Momoka Hanazono. So I don't know if there's going to be a 3-way number 1 contendership. That would probably be the obvious choice. Or will she put the title on against all 3 of them and make it a fatal 4-way? That's something that I don't know. I would love to see that if that's the case. So now, before I end it right here, you probably ask me, J-Rod, how can we watch Oz Academy? I don't mind saying it too many times. That way, if anybody's interested, because I know if you guys love Oz Academy and you like that I review this stuff, this is the right channel for you. If you want to watch this stuff, go to watchprowrestling.org. Uh, there's many events. I don't know if you can still see them, but this is a much recent one. They always put their events on this particular streaming link. Um, but you can still request if you want to see Oz Academy. They'll give you like instructions if you can send an email saying I want to watch. Can you put up? Can you upload this like Oz Academy or Pro Wrestling Way? So just for you guys to let you know if that's the case. If you want to ask me ahead of time, but I'm telling you now so you guys get the information out because since I watched this, I feel like you guys probably want to know all the information. So I think that's pretty much it right now with Oz Academy. Let's move on to, of course, Ice Ribbon. Ice Ribbon, their final show of 2022. This is their version of WrestleMania, but in a much smaller scale in Cork and Hall. This one's called Ribbon Mania. Now, it opened up with Sakusa Fujimoto. I mentioned maybe two or three times about Fujimoto being pregnant, and you can see her belly right there. She did announce that by the after this event she'll be taking maternity leave. So that means since she took an indefinite hiatus last May, she says she's going to be taking time off from in-ring work from then. I'm going to presume maybe she got pregnant around that time. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. And then of course we have Kaho Matsushita coming out. I don't know what kind of promo she was doing, but I'm sure she's excited since this is the final show of 2022 for Ice Ribbon. I say why not? So they do the roll call as always. I'm not gonna go through them because there's wrestlers that we're gonna talk about which one. Now our opening match is a 10-person tag match. We have team number one, Tsukina Umino, Yuta Suzuki, who I mentioned on GLEAT, Sumika Yanagawa from Just Tap Out, Yuku Sakurai from Colors, Momotane, originally from Actress Girls, but now with Pure J. They take on Kiku, Saran, Rebel X Enemy, consistent of Ram Kaicho, Rina Yamashita, and Maika Yuhiki. So, I thought this match was pretty fun and interesting. Now, as always, when it comes to Ram Kaicho, I always believe, oh, she's going to try to throw in the ectoplasma, but nope, not this time. But I was surprised that it was a crucifix by Tsukina Umino onto, I think it was it on Kiku that allowed them to win the match. So it was a pretty good match, so not bad. Next match we have tag team action. We have Kaho Matsushita teaming up with from Colors Hikari Shimizu, where they take on Hamuko Hoshi and Makoto. Um, it was a pretty good match. I did like everything. I like the cohesiveness between Hoshi and Makoto, but it was them who actually walked out the victors when Hoshi applied a splash onto Kaho and win the match. Next one is a very interesting. We have a trios match. First team is Kismet Princess, consistent of Amin, also known as Rina Makura, um, Misa Kagura, aka Tam Nakano's clone, and then finally now Ishikawa. They take on Tai Hamna, Maika Ozaki, and Kuri. I thought this match was pretty good and interesting because I know because the opposing team, team number two, Hamna, Ozaki, and Kiru, they don't like Princess Kismet because these girls are all about finding their prince and becoming princesses. But however, it was um, Cutie to with a blizzard suplex onto now that allowed them to win the match. Now, this match, I have to say, I made a mistake on this when I make the news update previously. I'm willing to accept responsibility for making the wrong assumption, but this was the final match that features Yuki Mashiro, who announced not too long ago that she was going to retire from pro wrestling. So she's going to be, so her opponent is none other than Suzuki. Now, it was kind of interesting that Zuzu became her opponent, but Zuzu does have some history with Ice Ribbon before last year before on the end of 2021, where she and many of her prominence team went freelancing and of course making a name for herself all over the Yoshi world, bouncing from one tournament to one promotion to the next. But of course, you see her walking with the artist belts, one of the artists of Stardom belts that she won at Dream Queensdom. It's kind of unusual. I think maybe there was a fan that kind of found it sick that she shows up with that belt. I know previously I did see when in the 5-star Grand Prix, Suzuki showed up with the Regina the Wave title before she lost it to Hikaru Shida. I thought it was interesting. I have to say the match was so hard hitting. I mean, you can tell the momentum was going straight to Zuzu until she applied the German suplex. 1, 2, 3. Post match, we had the retirement ceremony. You know, the last time we see Yuki Mashiro, some of you will probably ask me, what should be doing next? Well, according to what I'm hearing, she's going to be involved in the medical field. So she's going to be involved as a doctor or something like that. She is very young. Um, she was trained by none other than Mio Shirai, the older sister of Io Shirai. Um, I think Mio spoke highly of her a lot, and I think so. And I think Fujimoto thought the same way too. But that's how it is. So it was a good ceremony. So good luck, Yuki Mashiro. I hope down the line we'll see you again. Where if you're not even wrestling, just pop up, say hi. Now our last two matches, they're all championship matches. Our first one is the International Ribbon Tag Team titles. The challengers are Big Deca, is consistent of Tatoro Satsuki and Yuna Manaze. They take on Ibuki Hoshi and Hikaru Shida. Now, for some odd reason, this particular match, it would have been ended right there. This is, I believe, Shida and Hoshi's second title defense. But things could have gone out of the hand because apparently there was like mishaps between the two. Um, but they were able to retain the titles, all thanks to Hoshi who pinned Totoro. However, I don't know what Shida said. It seems like she said something very harsh or said something to her. I don't know. But however, they got into a brawl. They managed to separate them. While this carnage was happening, the previous champions that they beat the title, Hamuko Hoshi, who is Ibuki's mom, and Makoto decided to interject themselves. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out, even though I don't speak their language or understand their language. Most likely, this must be where now they're going to be challenging to reclaim those tactiles. That's something I know for sure. But the obvious question is, will Shida and Hoshi will try to coexist? That is still yet to be seen. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have the Ice Infinity Championship defended. We have the challenger, Hasai versus Sayuro Noe. I thought this match was pretty good. Sayuro Noe, who is one of the most best wrestlers in the Yoshi world today. I mean, she's made headways all over the other promotions, not only in Ice Ribbon, but also in House Academy. She made various appearances in Wave, wherever she goes. But recently she did show up in DDT, and I'm kind of I was like very surprised how this match went into the bridge suplex by her to retain the title. So I thought it was good, and she retained her title. So it was real fun. I enjoyed Ice Ribbon. It's been a while since I did one. If you ask me, like I said again, you can go to the watchprowrestling.org. It's right there. You can request if you want to, but that's what I'm telling you. So let's move on to the next review, and I believe this is ChocoPro 283. Okay, so this is day 4 of ChocoPro's 5-day show. This is 283. I have to say, this one was a lot more funner because of, well, let's just talk about it. Our first match, uh, we have Arnico versus Cherry versus Masahiro Takanashi. Now, the only reason I find this fun was because Arnico Montana shows up drunk. Make was like, is he drunk? And he was like asleep, all drunk and all this. And I mean, Masa is a drinker. I know that, but he's like, what are you drinking for? I mean, if you guys ever know this, that's why they're called the Drunken Kings. So that's the thing about Masa about him. But it was so funny. But you probably would have thought, okay, maybe he was doing that whole kung fu drunken master routine. I mean, it would have been. I think that was the whole point of it. But I thought it was really fun. But however, it was Masa who pulled off a trick when he decided to remove Arnicle's mask and then put the blame on Cherry, and then he applied the schoolboy onto Cherry. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now Arnicle was not pinned, but Masa took his mask and Arnico was spent. And one thing I did not know about Arnico, he was in fact he's from Chile. Hmm. It makes sense about the name Arnico Montana. So now I know something about him. Now our next match, we have tag team action. We got Chiko Shikawa and Sayaka taking on Koishido Kamen and Chris Brooks. Now, many times when I see Chris Brooks, I've always think he's going to win this match. But however, when it comes to Chi and Sayaka, either individually or as a tag team, their their bond is unbreakable. They're pretty much what they can do. I mean, I have highly spoke about Sayaka, how much he has grown throughout 2022 with some interesting matches. She has always been, I mean, she's always been like second to Mei Shiruga due to their rivalry. But I have to say they both grown so much. They wrestled against each other, they tag team with each other, and I think that's what makes this match great. But one thing it was made clear, they were able to isolate Chris Brooks away from Kushido, and of course it was Chi who applied the submission move, forcing him to tap out. And I think this is a pretty good win for both Chi and Sayaka. Now, it would have been more sweeter if they were able to pin Chris Brooks, but Chris Brooks is very clever. So the obvious question is, should Chris Brooks be worried that sooner or later Chi and Sayaka could pin them and get a title opportunity for the Asian Dream Tag Team titles? We know that those two haven't picked up a title shot yet, but it would make sense. Now, our next match, we have the members of Colors Yuko Sakurai and Saki taking on Miya Yotsuba and Mei Shiruga. I have to say, great match. I loved it. I mean, not only am I a fan of three out of the four, but Mia was more intensified than ever. You know, she knows she's not dealing with any slouches. You got Colors. I mean, they are a unit, and I think that's what makes it so great. However, Chris Brooks, when he was commentating in this match, it was known as now the Ichigaya Screwjob. What happened is, Saki had what's her name, Mia in a sharpshooter, but while the bell reached the time limit draw, Mia actually tapped out. But the obvious question is, okay, is this a time limit draw, or is this match going to go straight to Colors? Well, Chi, who was the ref, made the executive decision that the match won by colors and they win it. This does not satisfy Mei Shiruga, but Mia tapped out right around the same time. So it would make a little more sense, but there's no doubt in my mind there could be a rematch. But however, both colors were eliminated in the Jockey tournament, but they had to leave due to other commitments they had to commit, or should I say, be prepared, since those two will be part of the Stardom Triangle Derby. So that is something that's been cleared. But I was surprised in the end that this match ended. The Jockey tournament ended with, of course, Mei Shiruga winning. So that was pretty good. And he beat Chris Brooks, and I think Chris Brooks was not too thrilled. So that's how it works. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have with ChocoPro. I believe it's time for our final review, AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, our final review, AEW Dark Elevation. Open up with Hikaru Shida taking on Tira Rusame. I don't know who she is. But you can guess this match went into the favor of Hikaru Shida with the katana kick. That's always been good. So I don't need to tell you too much of the details on that. Next up, we got the varsity athletes with Woods and Nice, along with that moron Smart Mark Sterling, taking on the Pillars of Destiny. I thought this match was pretty good, since even though for a couple of enhancements, but it was a combination neckbreaker by the varsity athletes that allowed them to win this match. Next up, we got Party Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Matt Hardy taking on Manny Leones and Atiba. I like how there are certain dynamics that have been changed up. Now, keep in mind, Matt Hardy's been forbidden to use the Twist of Faith, but he used the Ego's Edge and did allow for Cass- Cassidy to apply the Swanton Bomb. And then after that, there was an interview between them, and apparently, for some odd reason, Matt Hardy was like going into an agreement with Heath. And Isaiah seems confused, but later is like, "Are you being for real?" Like he said a different word, but he did this. He gave the wink. He's messing with them. I'm like, holy cow, he's screwing with them. I just, I just can't believe Matt is deceiving Ethan Page. I just, oh god, I think I love this storyline. Now, next up we got Marina Shafir along with Nyla Rose, but no Vicky Girl. She takes on Lidlam Grimm. Um, Once again, this one ends with a submission move, but I don't know how this dynamic between both Marina and Nyla will continue, since there is no Vicky Girl. That's the thing. Next up, we got Athena versus Gypsy May. This match ended in a with the crossface submission, and once again, Athena decided to attack her opponent after the in the post match, once again being what she is. Next up, we got Ryan Menef teaming up with Chaos Project, Serpentico, and Luther taking on the Dark Order. The last what's left of Dark Order, Uno, Silver, and Reynolds. It was a pretty good match. I liked it. It was, of course, Dark Order with the Pendulum Bomb on Serpentico that allowed them to win the match. Excuse me. Our next match, we have Leva Bates versus Julia Hart. You probably can guess this match ended by Julia Hart when she applied the Heartless submission, and it was over right from there. Next up, we have Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett taking on um, Justin Andrews and Risings. This ended with the lethal injection by Jay Lethal in order to win the match. And then I believe our main event features Dean Alexander, Rosario Grillo, and Hagen Ishino. They take on all members of the House of Black. you can guess this match ended with the House of Black. So it was pretty good. I think I enjoyed some matches on this one, despite the fact there's some enhancements, as they call it, but I'm not going to complain. So I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW Dark Elevation. I believe it's time for news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Um, Reports have been coming in about Trinity Fatu, also known as Naomi, that there is the slight possibility that she could be with Mercedes Vernado, also known as Sasha Banks, in Japan. Now, what does this exactly mean? We don't know. The last thing we were told from various sources that was revealing that that Trinity Fatu does have three options. She could stay home, um, quit to go to another company, or go back with WWE without Sasha Banks. Now, if she is in Japan, you probably ask yourselves, why would she go there? I don't know if she wants to see how the scene is in Japan. Now, keep in mind, there have been some wrestlers that never had the opportunity to wrestle in Japan. And I think maybe Naomi is, hopefully, if that's the case, that she's probably keeping an open mind, like to decide whether what she's going to do, stay home, wait till her contract is out, or um, just quit and go somewhere else, or possibly, go back with WWE without Sasha. So that is still the unanswered question, but we will find out when the day comes. Now, speaking of WWE, it was already announced that Colby Corino is now a free agent, and it appears that he could be on his way to WWE. It appears that WWE does have quite of interest in Colby Corino. I know that Triple H has mentioned that he has several wrestlers that he's been keeping an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised that Kobe is in it. His dad, if you guys remember him, Steven Corino, former ECW NWO World Champion, he's currently working as a producer in the NXT brand. So it would make sense that he will go there. Um, we'll just wait and see what happens. They haven't announced anything if that's the case. So we know that he is a free agent. So we'll find out. Now, as you know, Keiji Mutoh, he has his final leg of his career, as his alter ego known as Great Muto will have his last match real soon, later on this month. He just recently had his match with Shinsuke Nakamura. I will review that on the following episode. But his final match will take place on February 21st in the Tokyo Dome. This was ironically, this is the match where the day where he won his very first ever IWGP heavyweight championship, and I thought it could be a big fitting. But they're calling this event the Last Love. So basically, if you guys know this, he had this thing with All Japan called the Love Era, but that era was done when he left. Now, interesting news has come out about FanTime. If you guys remember FanTime, this is the um, website where Mandy Rose is putting out her exclusive content. FanTime has announced that Mandy Rose has reached $1 million in 1 month. This will be going into a fundraiser in her profile. Now, there have been reports indicating that Mandy Rose had made more money since she left WWE, that she makes more money even when she was with WWE. So that is the case. And there's a photo of her coming out with a brand new Rolls Royce. So that may be the case. Now, we don't know for sure about her future in pro wrestling. Is no indication. Is she going to be joining any promotion? I know some of you AEW fans are saying she's better off going there. We don't know yet. Is Tony Khan interested? We don't know. Uh, we just gotta wait and see what happens then. Dark Puroresu Flowsion has spoken to Joshi wrestler Yuka Sakazaki recently. Had her a couple of questions that they know. This is the same group that talked to um, Mariah May and I forgot who else. But let's see what she had to say because I find things interesting when it comes to like this. So let's see what she said. This is what they respond. It's been 6 months since you've been back in the United States. You're returning very soon. Can you name a couple of wrestlers would you like to have matches with? Any desire for another Konosuke Takeshita team up? Thank you. Um, I'll be back soon. Here are wrestlers I would like to play against: Nyla Rose, Willow Nightingale, Jamie Hayter. Tag team with Takeshita, you have a chance. You recently had a match with young Billy Starks. How did the two of you plan the match and what are your overall thoughts of her? Billy had such a powerful knight and hungry spirit that I could not imagine from her cute appearance. I hope to fight her again in the near future. And then here's the last question. Does the magical girl have a favorite American food spot she enjoys? Um, Bubba Gump Shrimp Panda Express. The shrimp is delicious. So yeah, so this is a Twitter page that I've been following. You should check it out. It's called Dark Puroresu Flowsion. Now moving on. West Coast Pros has made announcements for their upcoming event on this weekend. I think on the 6th of January we have Can You Work Fridays. They announced for a number one contendership for the women's title. Fort Vix will be taking on Sandra Moon. Then we have RSP Ricky Shane Page taking on Vinny Masario. And finally, this is take two between these two teams. Team Filthy taking on the Conglomerate. The last time the Conglomerate walked away as the victors. Defy Wrestling out of Seattle was announced for their upcoming event on the 20th. Most Dangerous, they're going to have Artemis Spencer versus Davey Richards. Prestige Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event in March. Hybrid Moments, they have signed Masha Slamovich to this event. House of Glory has announced that on the 3rd of February, the tag team titles will be posted on the line. The main event, who recently won those titles, will be defending it against the Amazing Red and Brian XL. Now for the GCW, we had for the J-Cup, it's announced that Dante Leon is the latest entrant to join it. Then we got GCW updates. We have for the Save Me event, Soyorek will be taking on Robert Anthony. And then huge announcements for the upcoming GCW versus New South. It's going to be tag team titles versus tag team titles. Infrared put their New South tag team titles on the line against Los Macizos, who put their titles on the line against them. So this one will take place on the 22nd of January. I can't wait to see it. And finally, for all you Yoshi fans out there, if you're big fans of Hazuki, she kind of put out that if she's looking for a good-looking guy, she seems attracted to it. And there was a video that was posted, and she's saying out that she is asking for applicants to be her new boyfriend. So I will put that video on the description below. I have to say this is a very interesting because Azuki has never talked much about stuff that she keeps private to herself. This is rather interesting. I mean, if you guys remember, when she was with Oda Tai, they kind of asked her that question. Uh, she, but this time with this one, she kind of blushed, and it was interesting. I will put that video uploaded that way so you guys can see it. I think that's pretty much it right now. What we have, so I think it's time to call it a day. Well, hope everybody just enjoyed this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Tuesday Wrestling coming up. We may continue more with NWA with the Champion Series, AEW Dark, and NXT. And then I will be reviewing the recent ChocoPro event 284. And I probably will do Pro Wrestling Noah with their New Year's event, where they go to Nippon Budokan, I believe, and this is featuring the Great Muta versus Shinsuke Nakamura. This is going to be one killer event. I still got some events I haven't seen yet. I still got the GCW, Dragon Gate, DDT, a few others that I haven't covered yet. I'm looking forward to this one, so we'll just see what happens then. So, um, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.